A Spoonful of Purple, The Story of Ribena by Azlan Adnan M.A. In 1941, a 5-year-old boy in Bristol bled from his gums while the sirens wailed. His mother poured him a spoonful of something dark, thick, and slightly astringent. Ribena. It wasn't magic. It was science. It was blackcurrants. It was war. This isn't a brand history. It's a quiet human chronicle. How one overlooked berry, measured in a Bristol lab, became Britain's wartime lifeline against scurvy. Vernon Charley's notebooks, Tommy Ellis's bruised legs, mothers in queues, naval ships without oranges. From pre-war experiments to post-war kitchens, the book traces Ribena's shift, from medicine that tasted like medicine to the sweet purple drink every kid now knows. No hype, no nostalgia, just facts, voices, and the stubborn way taste outlives crisis. Read it if you want to know why a bottle on a table could matter more than a headline. Why a child's laugh, after months of silence, was worth every row of blackcurrants planted. It's not about the drink. It's about what it carried, through blockades, through rationing, through time. A spoonful, a cure, a habit, a legacy. The Purple Remedy, Bristol, 1941. The siren had stopped, but the silence never quite settled. It hung in the air like dust, waiting for the next rupture. Tommy Ellis woke before dawn, already crying. Not loud, not sharp, just a thin, tired sound, like something wearing out. His mouth hurt again. When he pressed his tongue against his gums, they felt swollen, soft in the wrong way. When he bit down on toast the night before, there had been blood. His mother had tried not to react. She failed. Mrs. Ellis stood in the doorway now, coat half-buttoned, hair pinned in haste. She worked long shifts at the factory, fuses, casings, whatever they needed that week. War work. Necessary work. But this she did not understand. Tommy didn't run anymore. He didn't ask to go outside when the light came. He sat, or lay, or watched. Bruises bloomed along his legs in colors no child should carry. Purple, yellow, gray. His knees ached. He said they felt tired, which was not a word a 5-year-old ought to use for his own bones. She had seen it mentioned. Not in detail. Never in detail. Just enough to frighten. Something sailors used to get. Something old. Something that should not have returned. Scurvy. The word itself sounded like something rotting. At the clinic, the queue stretched along the pavement. Mothers, mostly. Quiet, watchful, ration books clutched like passports to survival. No one said much. They did not need to. The war had a way of teaching people to recognize the same fear in different faces. When it was her turn, the nurse did not waste time. She looked at Tommy's gums, pressed lightly along his shin, asked a few short questions. Then she turned, reached behind her, and brought out a bottle. Dark glass, thick liquid inside. Ribena, she said, as if that settled it. Mrs. Ellis turned the bottle in her hands. The label was plain but confident. From British blackcurrants. There were other words, technical, distant. One stood out. Vitamin C. 1 spoonful, morning and night, the nurse continued. 20 milligrams of vitamin C per spoon, enough for a child, even with no oranges left. Mrs. Ellis nodded, though she did not understand. Not fully. Vitamins were still a new language, spoken more by laboratories than by kitchens. But she understood instruction. She understood urgency. And she understood the quiet authority of someone who had seen this before. At home, she poured the first spoon. It was thicker than she expected. Darker too, almost black, with a deep purple edge when it caught the light. Tommy recoiled at the smell. Not sweet, not exactly. Sharp, alive. Go on, she said gently. He swallowed, made a face, coughed once, then lay back down. That night she wrote in her diary. Just a line, squeezed between notes about rations and shifts. Started the purple tonic. Says it tastes awful. Days passed. Then more. The bleeding slowed first. Not gone, but less. The pillow stayed clean 2 mornings in a row. That alone felt like a victory. By the second week, he sat up without prompting, asked for bread, ate it carefully, testing his own mouth like it might betray him again. By the third, something returned that had been missing so long she had almost forgotten to look for it. He laughed. Not much. Not loudly, but enough. Mrs. Ellis wrote again. He's not bleeding anymore. I'll keep pouring it. There was no ceremony to it. No announcement. No doctor came to declare him cured. The war did not pause to mark the moment. But in a small kitchen in Bristol, a child stood at the window and watched the morning without pain. And on the table, beside the ration book and the chipped enamel mug, stood the bottle. Dark, unassuming, quietly essential. the purple remedy. Years earlier, before the sirens, before the shortages, before the word scurvy returned to English homes, a man named Vernon Charley sat at a desk covered in notes. He was not thinking about war. He was thinking about fruit, and why one small, overlooked berry might matter more than anyone yet realized. About the author. Azlan Adnan, M.A., is a writer and independent researcher whose work focuses on nutrition science, food systems, and the biological foundations of human health. His writing examines how natural foods contain complex compounds that interact with human physiology in ways that may support long-term well-being. He has a particular interest in plant-based bioactive compounds such as polyphenols, carotenoids, flavonoids, and other phytochemicals found in fruits, vegetables, herbs, spices, algae, and fungi. His research explores how these compounds function in plants and how they may influence human nutrition when consumed as part of a balanced diet. Azlan approaches nutrition from a multidisciplinary perspective, drawing on biochemistry, plant biology, and public health nutrition. His work aims to translate complex scientific concepts into clear explanations so that readers can better understand the nutritional value of everyday foods. He is the author of several books examining natural sources of antioxidants and other dietary compounds. Author of the Antioxidant series, Antioxidants in Herbs and Spices, Antioxidants in Algae, Microalgae, and Fungi, Antioxidants in Fruits and Vegetables, Antioxidants in Nuts and Seeds, Antioxidants in Berries. Author of the Nutrient series, Macronutrients, Volume 1, Carbohydrates, Macronutrients, Volume 2, Lipids, Macronutrients, Volume 3, Proteins, Micronutrients, Vitamins, Trace Elements, and Minerals, Anti-nutrients, the hidden blockers in your food, Phytonutrients, the quiet power of plants, Water, the forgotten fourth, a macronutrient you can't ignore, other books on health and nutrition, Tuberculosis Briefing Paper, 2nd edition, Aslan's 5-Powder Manifesto, Eating the Greek Way, How Cultural Habits Support Health Without Trying, Ideology on a Plate, How Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Turned U.S. Dietary Guidelines into a Scientific Farce, Maslow in 2026, A Practical Guide to Actual Needs, Not Scrollable Wishes. These works form part of an ongoing series exploring the chemistry, biological roles, and nutritional significance of bioactive compounds in plant foods. Through his writing, Azlan advocates a practical food-first approach to nutrition. His work emphasizes whole foods, dietary diversity, and balanced eating patterns rather than reliance on isolated nutrients or supplements. He holds a Master of Arts in International Business and Management from the University of Westminster in London, and writes extensively on nutrition science, health, and food-based approaches to long-term well-being. Azlan Adnan, the quiet revolutionary of real food writing. Azlan Adnan, M.A., is a Malaysian polymath who spent decades turning food into philosophy. Raw, unfiltered, no hype. You won't find him pushing superfoods or miracle diets. He dissects what actually works. Whole plants, spices, microbes, and the quiet chemistry that keeps bodies humming. With over 30 books, self-published, shared freely on Z Library, Facebook groups, Telegram channels, Aslan's output is prolific. Part manifesto, part manual. Early works like Spring Has Sprung, a psychological thriller, and travelogues On the Road to the East Coast reveal his roots in journalism, advertising, and storytelling. But nutrition became his mission. Educated with a Master of Arts in International Business and Management from the University of Westminster, London, he taught at the School of Management, Royal Holloway, London, while pursuing doctoral research in business strategy and environmental management, specializing in the international timber trade. That academic backbone, rigor, systems thinking, sustainability, bleeds into his food writing. No fluff, just evidence. The core series, the Macronutrients Trilogy, Volume 1 on carbohydrates, glucose, fiber, metabolism, Volume 2 on lipids, fats, omega-3s, inflammation, Volume 3 on proteins, repair, enzymes, muscle. Then micronutrients, water, and anti-nutrients, the plant world's double-edged sword. Anti-nutrients are naturally occurring compounds in whole foods, phytates, oxalates, lectins, goitrogens, that can bind minerals, block enzymes, or mess with absorption. They evolved as plant defenses, but in us, they steal iron from spinach, calcium from kale, or spike gut irritation from raw beans. Variety wins. 30 plants a week, not monodiets. Raw's romantic, but cooked smarter. Add spice blends like Aslan's 5-powder manifesto, turmeric mixes for real anti-inflammation, and you've got a library that says, eat wide, not weird. Why release it all into the public domain? Because knowledge isn't currency. It's oxygen. Aslan watched corporations gatekeep health, paywalls on papers, patented supplements, proprietary blends that hide what works. He refuses. His books aren't for sale. They're for spread. No DRM, no ads, no ego. Just files anyone can download, print, share. He says it plain. If one person in a kampong swaps white rice for brown or steams kailan instead of boiling it, that's the win, not royalties. He's no gatekeeper. His Facebook, Azlan Green Party, Instagram, and YouTube drop bite-sized truths. Traffic light WFPB guides, eye health talks on lutein, vegan journeys. He credits tradition, curries, forest mushrooms, seaweed from tides, and lives it. Unpeeled carrots, home ferments, no moralizing. 30-plus titles aren't about volume. They're depth. Carbs to phytonutrients, water to gut bugs. Azlan doesn't sell health. He hands you the tools. Read him and your plate changes. Not because you're broken, because you're built for better.
A Writer's Manifesto by Azlan Adnan, M.A. As an agent provocateur and change agent, I write to shift paradigms. Nothing more, nothing less. I draw inspiration from Robert Baden-Powell's parting words, leave the world better than you found it. I also take heed of Buckminster Fuller's reminder, not to fight old systems, but to build new ones so compelling that the old becomes obsolete. So here is my pledge. Every book I write enters the public domain the moment it is finished. No royalties, no gatekeeping. Download my work from my Telegram channels, Z Library, and pass it along. Copy it. Quote it. Seed it into every mind that needs it. If you gain something from these words, wonderful. Spread them freely and help someone else along their path. Should you wish to contribute, do so voluntarily. Not more than 5% of what you earn this month. The same principle as T. Harv Eker's 5th jar. Treat it as a gesture of solidarity, not obligation. Whatever reaches me goes towards my various eye treatments. Keep the rest for yourself and keep the chain moving forward. This is how we remake the world, one liberated idea at a time.
A heartfelt light. To every soul whose hand did give, you've helped me dream, helped me live. In darkest hours your light came through, with hearts so kind, so pure, so true. Your gifts, like stars in deepest night, have steered me gently toward the light. Each coin, each word, each silent prayer, a thread of hope so rich, so rare. My eyes once dimmed now seek the skies, and slowly clearer visions rise. Because of you, I dare to see the world again. Its grace, its plea. Your compassion's flame will not just stay with me alone. It lights the way for others wandering through despair to feel the warmth of selfless care. You've shown what love in action means, in quiet ways through giving scenes. You've built a bridge from soul to soul and made the broken feel more whole. So let this thanks rise like a song, a melody both soft and strong. May your example gently call more hearts to rise to give. To fall into the joy of lifting pain, of planting hope where none remains. Your kindness walks beside me still, a light, a love, a living will.
forget to hit that subscribe button to show your support.